Not the truth.
Yeah.
They're not afraid of your power. They don't want a dick in bed. They don't.
Oh my God.
That's
going to be our teaser. Yes. They're not afraid of your power. They just don't want
a dick in bed. In bed.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you.
Wait, and can I say one more thing?
Yes.
Okay. Men want to do 3 things. They want to profess their love about you to everybody, for you, about you to everybody in the world. They want to protect you and they want to provide. If you are in your masculine, you're going to be like, don't open that door for me. Don't. It's just like, let him open the freaking door for you. Yeah. Come on.
And I have to tell you, there was a time in my life where I was that, in the sense of like, I don't need
a man.
you. But that's a sign of weakness.
Yes.
Because so what? I don't need a lot of things.
Right. But you want.
You want. And
allow them to be men.
To receive,
That's what feminine energy is, receiving.
Yeah. And then a transition where I was like more neutral. And I'm like, if he opens the door, cool. If he doesn't, that's cool too. But I have to tell you, my current boyfriend opens the door for me every single time. And I was like, whoa.
Don't you feel like a queen?
I feel amazing. And I just feel like, and there's been like one time where he kind of forgot and I just stood there. He's like, seriously? I was like,
yes.
Like, you told me.
You set the precedence.
Yeah.
And so can I share something with you?
Yes.
So that does not take away from 1 ounce of your badass boss babe, girl boss, lady boss, masculine, strong alpha energy in your business, does it? To have him open up those doors.
No.
So you can see how you just switch it. You flip.
Yeah.
So before we leave this territory, we have to go back to sex for a minute.
What's up, everyone? You are listening to Wake Up Naked. I am your host, Esmey Leon. We're going in deep into ourselves. We're going to be talking about ideas and concepts and things that have the potential to actually change our lives. So get excited, get ready, and what are you waiting for? Come over here and get naked with me.
I would love to welcome you to Wake Up Naked. I am your host, Esmey Leon, and I have the beautiful best-selling author, content creator, and energy healer, Dr. Elizabeth, with me.
Thank you. It's so nice.
So good to have you.
And I just have to give you a shout out and a shout out to Rollin. This is amazing. The last time I was here, none of this was here. And this is incredible. I love it.
Thank you.
It's really so professional, so beautiful. I'm really excited for you. I'm really proud of you. I remember when you first told me. Yeah. I remember we were at Gold's Gym and you're like, oh my God, I have this idea to do this thing, Wake Up Naked. And I'm like, okay, let me know when you want me on as your guest. But look at where you are now. You have this whole designated area, it's amazing.
Yes, we created a mini studio. And yes, definitely shout out to Rollin. Thank you so much. I love you. It's been such a big help.
Yeah,
and you've been such a big help in that as well. So that's another topic for another day. Yes. But let's get into the very first thing that I'm very excited to talk to you about. And so I'm going to go into, let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about, but yes, sex.
Yes.
Interestingly enough, I just finished watching the Hugh Hefner documentary, which has had me thinking a lot about sex and just like, despite what I've ever thought about him or still, think about his lifestyle, I didn't realize what a big impact he had in what I call kind of the sex revolution of the 60s, 70s, right? Because it was so taboo to talk about. And still today, I think it's still a little taboo.
There's a lot of people who just went, ooh, it's, and others go, ooh. And some kind of behind the curtain are like, ooh, and then are embarrassed, but still, it is. Yeah. It's funny. People have a difficult time talking about money. People have a very difficult time talking about sex. People have a very difficult time. There's not a lot of empowerment there. Yeah. So I think that's where we want to talk about sex, from a place of empowerment.
Yeah. I love that. Let's start there. So if someone meets someone and they're really into them, can you give us some advice as how to relate to sex when you are meeting someone that you're very interested in? What What are your thoughts on that? Do you just sleep with them on the first night because you really like them, or do you wait? Does that feel like a game? Like, because I think people struggle with that.
People struggle with this so much. So first of all, I have to preface, so there's a lot of personal values people have, personal beliefs people have, sometimes religious beliefs, sometimes cultural beliefs. So I want, in our discussion today, I want to really, for everybody, honor what's best for you. I want them to know this is whatever's best for you. But I want to start by saying our awareness and our consciousness is the place we have to start. It's like we have the human portion of us, right? We have the physical. It's like you meet somebody and, oh my God, you want to tear their clothes off.
And there's chemistry.
Chemistry. Yes. So a lot of times what happens, people will meet people, and a lot of people have such trouble managing their chemistry. You want 4 things when you're meeting somebody. You want chemistry, compatibility, communication, and connection. You want those things. So that chemistry, in my opinion, has to be there. But a lot of people don't know how to manage their chemistry. They literally do jump in the bed on the first, the first moment they meet them. Yeah. They don't know how to handle that, so they actually pick people who they don't have chemistry with, which is that's a topic for another conversation. Okay. But now let's talk for a second about the question that you just asked. Yes. What do we do? Now, everybody has a different value system. Everybody has a different thought process on this. A lot of times you have to understand the male psyche and the female psyche as well. Now, you take...
I love that you said that.
You take the average. Now, remember, are we talking about highly conscious people, or are we talking about not so conscious people? 99.9% of the world is asleep at the wheel. They're unconscious. So let's just take the average bear. Exactly. And you have a woman, let's say the woman really, really likes the man. And let's say in this scenario, the man is just hot for her body, but he has no capacity to see her. Because a lot of the younger the man is, usually, not all the time, unfortunately, but usually, let's pick a guy in his 20s, let's say, and he's just, the testosterone's ripping through his body, and he's just like, he sees something hot. If he's approaching this woman from the standpoint of all I'm looking for here in this moment is to have sex with you, I'm not interested in anything else about you. I'm interested in...
Make sure you're right into that mic, because I want all the people to hear your beautiful message. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And she actually told me beforehand. So excited.
Don't worry, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, so now, here's this woman, here's this guy. First of all, raging testosterone going through his body. He has pretty much zero capacity to see all of her. Right. It's like, I'm hot for her. I want to F her. Yeah, I want to bump her.
I'll say it for you.
I fuck her. Yeah. Yes, and that's all. And so if they go on a date and he's, acting real, they have the whole game they play. He's acting, trying to
doing
get
all
her
the right things.
To try, yes. There's literally, it blew me away when I discovered, I delved into this world tremendously. There are literally, men have written books and have courses on how, just teaching men, guys, how just to fuck a woman. Like literally not to get to know her, but just, so it's out there. Yeah. And here in Los Angeles, it's really out there. So anywhere.
Bigger cities, I think it's more.
Bigger cities in general. So you have to look at, okay, here's what we got. And so this woman's going out. Now, there are women also who, there's a very small percentage of women who are built to have sex like a man.
Okay.
So
I just have to say something about that, because I think that's going to be a huge thing.
Well, that's a huge we're talking about.
Because I hear so much.
Let me get there, okay? Because Samantha from Sex and the City put that on the map. But it's like such a small percentage.
Right. And I think most women
cannot,
and then they lie
and say they can,
and they do it. But they're hurt, and then they suppress.
I promise you, we're going to get into all that.
I can't wait.
At this stage, that's exactly what.
That's the challenge I think we're facing.
This is the problem we're facing. Yeah. So now she thinks she's not that. 0.1% of the population who can have sex like a man. Yeah. So now they get together, hot chemistry, they sleep together. Now, here's what happens to the woman. Oxytocin kicks in and floods her body. I just need to tell them, My beloveds, this guy could be the biggest ding-dong asshole in the world.
Loser,
double loser. No offense to all the lovely men in the world. And because she just slept with him, had sex with him.
Had an orgasm.
She's literally bonded to him. Now, the men have oxytocin for about 2 seconds. So it doesn't bond them at all. They go pull up their pants, go on their happy blade. They forget her name, if they ever got it to begin with. She, on the other hand, has now, I can have sex like a guy. No, you can't. So now she's connected and bonded to him. This is where girls start acting crazy. They start stalking, they start driving by, they start going to the gym and looking for them, they start going crazy.
Let's talk about Instagram. I feel like searching for him in the stories.
And then they look to see, my God.
Obsessive.
Yeah, literally stalking. Okay. Yeah. So now we have to pay attention to this too. What's happened to this young woman, I mean, it can happen to women any age, but mostly this is young women, is now her self-worth, self-love, self-confidence, and self-esteem just went ding.
Yes.
Now,
that's what breaks my heart.
Here's where we have to go back though. This woman who's usually doing this is looking for something from this man. She's looking for the love and attention she didn't get from her father. There's a lot of women, more women than not, did not get the love, affection, and attention, validation from their fathers. Fathers who are out there, all men who are fathers that have daughters, I want you to pay attention to this. Your number one job, father's number one job, is to validate and tell a young woman, a beautiful young daughter that he has, how beautiful she is, how amazing she is, how worthy she is. She could do anything. She can accomplish the world, all of that. Because
I'm getting chills all over my body right now.
Yeah, but no one's talking about this. No, that's why we have this big old mess.
And men are kind of set up. Men are set to fail in a way. They're not taught. They're not
taught how to be men either. They're taught to conquer. Like, look at what's boys coming up. You start something as early as grade school, then junior high, then high school. What's the conversation in the locker room? What's the conversation in general?
How many girls can you sleep
How many
with?
girls have you had? They even pretend they've had girls when they haven't even. They lie about it, and so they're not thinking in terms of connecting. Now we also have to talk about sex as energy. Remember,
let's go into that.
Okay, so.
Because you kind of started on it, where you said the woman was now connected to him, right?
She's totally bonded to him. So we have to talk about energy. But first I just have to, so really, a father's job, you must hear this, a father's job is to validate and love a daughter growing up. It's so...
Did you hear that?
My father didn't get the memo. He didn't. Most men don't.
It's definitely a different generation, fathers. My dad said to me one of the sweetest things, and this is where, like, I understood before, but I really understood when he said this to me. He said, we had a heart-to-heart, and he said, honestly, he's like, I didn't understand. He's like, I thought being a father was providing food and
most
shelter.
Of them do. That's it, yeah.
And he's like, I didn't know there was more to that until now. And
there are no handbooks.
50s, 60s.
Yeah, there are no handbooks on this.
It broke my heart. Or it didn't break my heart, but it made me it really softened me, and it integrated it all for me in this perfect
It gave you more awareness. Yeah. So let's go back now. This young girl, so she says she's just looking for sex. She hops into bed, and she's done this before, countless times. Now what happens is her self-worth and self-esteem, all this is like really low. So now she's throwing herself out there and even more, because the itch she's trying to scratch is to get the love, affection, attention she never got from her father.
Under the facade of freedom and the facade of I can do this too.
I am a woman, I can do anything.
And we're in the 21st century.
Exactly. I can I can have sex just like a man. But you don't understand. These right here, these right here make us different. They do. They make us different.
Yeah.
We are physiologically and chemically different.
We're wired
differently. So we have to protect ourselves. And we also invite men to be more aware. If men could take more responsibility on their part and be more aware. Like, I would love to see men, instead of going, oh, that's something really hot I want to bang. Instead, they could have the awareness to say, this is a beautiful, really, I know a lot of guys are just cringing, rolling their eyes, going, what the fuck is she talking about? Bitch, what are you talking about? In an ideal world, though, this would be beautiful, because this wounded young girl is a mess, and they're looking at her. I've heard it said before. I hate even referencing this way, but this is what they say. She's trash. She's not trash. She's a wounded, this makes me want to cry. It just breaks my heart. She's a wounded young woman who's searching for love.
Yeah. To love and be loved.
To love and be loved. And she's certainly not getting it anywhere she's looking, because she's using sex in the wrong way. So now let's fast forward. There's so much, I could spend 5 hours talking about this.
Me too.
Like, it's a whole, now let's fast forward. We have to talk about, the more conscious you are, the more consciously you have to have sex. We have to talk about sexual responsibility.
I have to repeat this. The more conscious you are, the more consciously you have to have sex.
And let me tell you why.
Yes.
We are energy, right? We're energy. Think about it for a second. Here's this woman again. Here's a guy. Literally, when a man comes into a woman, he literally is taking his penis and putting it inside us, and then releasing all of his energy inside us. That sperm, that energy, all of that he's his own physiology inside of us literally has filled his energy. So if he's a jerk, if he thinks in a certain way, if he has heavy energy, if he's angry, literally you just took that in. Now for men as well. Let's say the man is more conscious than the woman. He's just gone inside someone who's highly unconscious. He's just picked up all her energy.
You're the perfect person to talk to this about, because the first time I ever heard anything like this, and this is what sucks, but doesn't at the same time, because we're talking about it.
Right.
You know, no one talks about this in general.
This.
But when I went to Peru and I did an ayahuasca ceremony with the shaman, he's like, don't sleep with anyone unless you bring him to me. Yeah. I'll clear his shit up, and you guys, it'll be a clear slate for you guys. Because he said it's an energetic exchange. He's like, you literally energetically take in everyone he's ever slept with, and everything he thinks and feels you've slept with. It's an exchange. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have to look and see responsibly. So not only do we have, so let's talk about sexual responsibility. Not only do we have to be sexually responsible for sexually transmitted diseases, not wanting to get pregnant, all of those things, we have to be energetically sexually responsible. So now you want to look at, because think about it. You and I are very conscious. So the way we enter our life, if someone negative were to walk in, like not here, this is a sacred space, but let's say we're in the gym, someone negative comes around, you better believe you and I are going to get up and we're going to leave that negative energy. Not only do you feel it, you don't want it around you. So if you go on a date, here's the girl, here's the guy, you guys go on a date, he's on his best behavior. You don't know what his energy is. Like you say, you don't know who he slept with. You don't know how angry he is. You don't know all this crap, the shit he's about to dump into you. And as a woman, it sits around in you for a very long time.
Say, do you know, because I forgot, I want to say someone said to me, it stays like the actual
the
sperm.
Energy.
Well, do you know physically the sperm, how long it stays in us?
I don't know how, I don't
need to look it up. But energetically, you're saying it stays in us.
Not only that, the energy will stay in you until you clear it. What I do is I clear energy for a living. Yeah. So, but if you're not clearing your energy, that stays there. So
do you think that can contribute to, let's say, like you're feeling a lot of anxiety and you don't know why?
Yeah. Well,
could your sex partners have anything to do with your...
Absolutely. In fact, we're going to talk about anxiety next, fear and anxiety. We're going to talk about that in the next segment. I want to talk about that. But absolutely, because remember, we're vibrating at a certain frequency. Now, someone else is vibrating at this frequency. It's like we're a Learjet, 35,000 feet in the air. And here's someone who's really fine.
Super hot. Dark, tall, and handsome.
Fun as hell. So you're like, all you're seeing, like in a lot of girls and guys, it's both.
Even guys.
It goes, listen, we're two women talking here, but the flip side goes, I've heard lots of guys talking saying, oh my God, this crazy girl, trust me, it goes both ways.
Yeah.
So a human being, male, female, whether you like boys, whether you like girls, doesn't matter. Here's the more very sexy, but very unconscious. Look at what you have to do to go down there. You've literally taken your Learjet.
They can't meet you up there.
They can't meet you up there. And so also remember, so you're having sex, but if you want anything more, you're looking in the wrong place. Yeah. So you have to, remember we talked about chemistry, compatibility, communication. For those, let's just speak for a second to those who actually want a relationship.
Okay.
So if you're looking for a relationship, and then we have to talk about like this whole thing of waiting. How long do you wait? Do you not wait? That whole thing. We have to talk about the wait also. With regard to this, if you want a relationship, especially if you're a female wanting a relationship, men, for the most part, are very visual. So they... So I'm so curious if you're going to leave that in or not.
I will. I'm going to, and for those of you who's not watching the video, listening to, I had to burp, so I took the mic away. And I was like, maybe she won't notice, but she absolutely noticed. I just didn't want to burp in everyone's ear.
And the cutest thing was, she did it. You were listening. You did so.
I did. I was very
really
grateful.
Cute. You were so slick till I opened up my big mouth. Yeah. It was really cute. But I have to tell you, yawning and burping are ways of clearing energy.
Wow.
Yeah, so you're just clearing energy. You literally were clearing something. You just cleared something. Congratulations.
Something about sex. What were you just saying? You were talking about...
So I was talking about if you want a relationship.
Okay, and then I burp. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So remember, we'll use a woman first and then we can use a man. As a woman, remember, especially if it's a young man, he's just looking at you for the most part to have sex. So now, and I hate this dance that happens. It's like the girl has to push him off and fight him back. It's so unconscious.
Can I say something about that though?
Yes.
Because I think this was a huge game changer for me personally.
Go ahead, tell me.
Because I used to think about, oh God, it's a game, and I was like, and I think there are definitely a group of people that play the games. Women have, I'm going to wait 5 hours to text him. It's so, it's
ridiculous.
Yeah. So there is actual game playing, but then I think there's a graduation where you're not playing a game. And I kind of refused to partake in it because it felt like a game. And what I realized was, this isn't a game. This is just understanding the male psychology and biology and understanding the female.
Because and our needs.
That's it. I was like,
and their needs.
As a woman, there are certain things that a man does that makes me feel like a woman.
Right.
So why wouldn't there be certain things that I do that make a man feel like a man? And it's not a game. It was just like, boom. That's the key. Like, I still have to make a man feel like a man.
Right.
And that
it goes both ways.
Right.
It goes both ways. Yeah. And so it leads to consciousness. The more conscious we are, the more aware we are in the approach of a relationship, the better off it is. So it's not about how long do we wait. It's interesting because I keep hearing this, so I have to say it for a second. On Netflix, there's a show. It's like number one. It's been number one on all summer long. Too Hot to Handle.
Oh, okay.
And it's really, I don't know, have you seen it at all?
I thought you were going to say Lorena Bobbitt.
Oh, no.
Where she cut off my dick?
No.
Oh, I saw it. And that's
horrifying. That's
too hot to handle.
So what happens is that the premise of the show is all these players come on and they're not allowed to have sex. And if they have sex, they actually, during the time on the show,
they dock them points, right? I have seen it.
I've seen it now too. Excuse me. Clearing energy.
Burping and yawning. Hopefully no farting. We'll see though. No promises.
Yeah. If you see us go like this. Okay. Let me stand there. So it's interesting because you got to watch chemistry, compatibility, communication, and connection play out. So first of all, the couples that did stay together, there were a couple couples that actually stayed together after the show.
Right.
And when that happened, there was mad chemistry in the beginning. Mad chemistry. I'm all for. I'm pro chemistry. I think you want to have like. Otherwise, just be friends. It's like if you don't have that chemistry, just be friends. But you want that. Like you want that. That's really important. So they had that. And then here comes the show. You have to actually start doing. And then on the show, they start teaching these young kids how to connect a little more. They did a couple little rituals. And they started opening up and opening up their vulnerability. So now instead of two people here who just are horny and hot to have sex, now all of a sudden you're looking over there on each side, male and female, or whatever the partnership is, and you look and go, oh, I'm actually seeing this person, body, mind, heart, soul, and spirit. And then the woman saying, I'm seeing this person, body, mind, heart, soul, and spirit. So you start with the chemistry, but then, so if you're wanting to get in a relationship, it's really important that you take the time, whatever time feels comfortable to the person, allow them to get to know you. Because that's where, especially for a guy looking at a girl, that's where he's going to get the attraction. Now, he has to want a relationship because no matter how well he gets to know you, he could be falling in love with you.
And you could be the most amazing woman in the world.
But if he's looking to play and he's not looking to have a relationship, it's not going to. I used to teach wedding couples their first dance. When I first started dancing professionally, and I had a whole business where I taught wedding couples their first dance. It was so much fun. And I literally could look at them and in the first 5 minutes tell you whether they're going to last.
Really?
And I'll tell you one secret. This is really important. For the woman, the man has to choose. If the man doesn't choose the woman. There is nothing, I'm telling you, women know this. There's nothing you can do if that man is not opting into you. Yes. Now, the woman chooses back, but if he doesn't opt in, there's nothing she can do.
And that goes into this kind of like, I think people resist it of being like a game or like, well, I'm a woman, I want to choose too. But over and over again, I have seen, and women really do like a honest check, look around, ask your girlfriends, ask your married couples. Really. And I feel like that has been key. The guy has to choose you. Now, you as a woman,
you can choose back.
Yeah, you as a woman, what I have heard too a little bit is I've never slipped into a guy's DM. There's nothing wrong with that. But as women, I think that's where we can sprinkle. If someone we want is there, sprinkle, but the man still has to be the one that says, hey,
I'm choosing you. Yeah.
But to say, hey, I like you, go out with me, I think normally, more often than not, it's not going to work. And there was a comedian, Monica Marquez. I think.
Oh, yeah.
She's amazing. Yeah. And she says it the best. And she's like, men, they have to choose. It's wired in you. And if you have to convince a man at the beginning to be with you, you will be convincing them for the rest of your life.
Well, not only that, it's not going to last. Now, this is masculine men and feminine women. Now, there are women who live from their masculine, and then they usually pick men who live from their feminine. Now, if that's the case, then she chooses. She's going to be so what we're talking about is masculine energy and feminine energy. So that will go for. So let's say you're in a same-sex relationship. Now we're talking about masculine and feminine. Yeah. Make sense?
What Dr. Elizabeth,
what happened?
I just noticed. Take this.
Oh, do I have?
Just a little bit. Right. Yep, right there. Oh, you got it.
How long's it been on?
I just noticed it.
Okay.
I just noticed it.
Okay. Perfect.
You look beautiful. Okay. I happens to me all the time with the beautiful red lipstick. But
so it's more feminine and masculine energy. So if you're the feminine essence, now you still get to choose. Because remember, let's say you have 5 different men who are coming after you. Or let's say you see someone who you're attracted to. Mm-hmm. You can engage your energy there, but you can't be the one you can't force it with that's anything.
Or like the aggressor.
You cannot do that because it won't work.
If we're talking about alpha men.
With alpha men and masculine men and feminine women, it is not going to work. Make sense? So now let's go back.
How about if you're, because I find, and this is where, because I tend to.
You're still a feminine woman.
I'm very, you know what? I'm learning that about me. I think I am way more feminine as I'm sitting here with these big hoops. And
sexy.
I'm way more feminine than I've ever thought. But definitely with the movement and the working out, like a lot of my masculine energy comes out. And so I have a lot of alpha women around me.
Yes.
And I think
I'm an alpha woman. I am ferocious. I'm an alpha woman, but I am feminine. So we want to get the distinction of the two.
And I think maybe, can you go into a little bit about that? Like, because I think a lot of alpha women want an alpha man. What advice do you have for those? Because I think they go for it, but then, and this had happened to me in the past. Right. My alpha stayed on and you just butt heads.
Because an alpha man isn't going to want to, he goes out into the world, he fights all the time. He's not going to want to fight. So watch this. This is, you and I are both alpha in our business and feminine in our life. We are feminine essence women who express our alpha in the gym when we work out. We're both ferocious when we work out. Yes. I'm ferocious on the dance floor. But now, dancing is a perfect example, salsa dancing. So I'm ferocious on the dance floor, but I am the feminine, so I have to surrender to his lead on the dance floor. So if like you and I both like alpha men because we're feminine essence women, and alpha men like feminine essence women. Yeah, for sure. You've learned that. I've learned that. We both know that. We both know that. So the mix-up is when we think we're alpha. We're alpha in certain aspects of our life, but in relationship we're feminine. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes. So what you want to do is, I talk about this in my book. In your life. So let's say you and I were out in the world. I have clients after I leave here. We're doing our interviews. All this is alpha. We are in our masculine. So we have to define masculine and feminine. Masculine is doing, it's going after, it's like, it's solid, it's strong, and it's accomplishing. Feminine is like the ocean. It's flowing, it's receiving. So when we get home, let's see, when your partner comes home, when I go home to my partner, I take my masculine work hat off and I put on my feminine hat. And in the relationship, I'm the feminine. Now, let's say we travel together. Let's say my sweetheart, and I don't have one now, but let's hypothetically, my sweetheart and I travel together. So let's say I'm really good at arranging reservations, doing all that. I put and he's like, baby, I hate doing that stuff. Go for it. You do it. I go put my alpha hat on and I get all the deals, make all the reservations, all the airlines, all that kind of stuff. And then he's like, but then he wants to be alpha on the vacation when we decide what to do here. Now. So even in a masculine man, feminine woman relationship, it's still the dance. It's the dance of the divine feminine and sacred masculine.
Question.
Make sense?
For someone that, like an alpha woman that wants an alpha man.
Right.
But
she has to take her.
I was going to say, how can she tap into her feminine? Because I see that a lot. I see a lot of alphas that want that man, but they can't do it. And if they're unconscious, they blame the guy and they'll say, oh, he's an asshole or whatever.
I can actually see who you're talking about. It's a lot of young influencers, because a lot of young influencer girls they've literally landed into these careers that have become powerhouse careers. They're literally like, oh my God, I've created this huge career for myself. Happens in a lot of different careers, but I see this with a lot of really young influencer girls. They are powerhouses in their creation. If they want an alpha man, they have to be able to learn first they have to become more conscious and aware, because you're right. That's exactly what they do. They go, F men, they're all bad, they're rotten, they hate. And then what they do is they make a huge mistake of saying they can't handle my power.
Yes.
Honey,
thank you for saying that.
That is not the truth. That is not the truth. Not the truth. They're not afraid of your power. They don't want a dick in bed. They don't.
Oh my God. That's going to be our teaser. Yes. They're not afraid of your power. They just don't want to take in bed.
In bed.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you.
Wait, and can I say one more thing?
Yes.
Okay. Men want to do 3 things. They want to profess their love about you to everybody, for you, about you to everybody in the world. They want to protect you and they want to provide. If you are in your masculine, you're going to be like, don't open that door for me. Don't. It's just like, let him open the freaking door for you. Yeah. Come on.
And I have to tell you, there was a time in my life where I was that, in the sense of like, I don't need
a man.
You. But that's a sign of weakness.
Yes.
Because so what? I don't need a lot of things.
Right. But you want
you want. And
allow them to be men.
To receive,
That's what feminine energy is, receiving.
Yeah. And then a transition where I was like more neutral. And I'm like, if he opens the door, cool. If he doesn't, that's cool too. But I tell you, my current boyfriend opens the door for me every single time. And I was like, whoa.
Don't you feel like a queen?
I feel amazing. And I just feel like, and there's been like one time where he kind of forgot and I just stood there. He's like, seriously? I was like, yes. Like, you told me.
You set the precedence.
Yeah.
And so can I share something with you?
Yes.
So that does not take away from 1 ounce of your badass boss babe, girl boss, lady boss, masculine, strong alpha energy in your business, does it? To have him open up those doors.
No.
So you can see how you just switch it. You flip.
Yeah.
So before we leave this territory, we have to go back to sex for a minute.
Yes.
Okay, because I want to finish, because I really feel like there's a little more to say here.
Yeah, there's a lot more to say.
There's a lot more to say here, but for us, I want to really just say a little more.
So we were talking about the woman that wants a relationship.
Exactly. So if a woman wants a relationship, she has to date, she has to be conscious, and she has to find conscious men, and she has to date consciously. Because even if it's a more conscious man, most men are not trained to look over and see your other qualities besides this at first.
And I would like to add to this really quickly, even a good man. Because you think that's kind of an asshole guy. Like the asshole guy hasn't been trained. But even a good guy, because of the way men are wired, they look...
Not so much wired. Well, let's define wired, how they are patterned in society. Yes. They're not actually, I don't know if they're wired that way. That's
Well, I think like or physiologically, like they get an erection, like a literal erection when they find someone. I'm not saying guys are walking around boners.
No,
but you know what I mean? Like they can't control that.
I went on a date with, I was dating this one guy, my boyfriend. We went out one time, and I was like just doing this little whole thing under the table, and I got him so aroused. He's just like, I leaned over and I said, baby, you don't even know what I'm going to do to you when I get home. And he was like, check, please. And he literally had to like walk in front of me. He had the biggest heart on. And I was like,
I'm going to have to use that. But that's what I mean by that. That kind of like sex is on their forefront, even if they're good guys. If you show up with your tits out and your ass out, even a good guy is going to think about fucking you.
Yes. And so what you want to do, what I'm inviting women to do is show a man, take your time. Just take your time. Yes. Show him all of you. Because if you're paying attention to and protecting your energy, right? You're not going to sleep with everybody because you don't want that energy in you. So you first have to see, are they healthy? Then you go and you want to be smart, sexually responsible regarding your health and well-being. Then you want to see, are they mentally healthy? Are they stable? Do they do what they say they're going to do? And this is vice versa too. This is for men as well. But we're talking about this specifically because men, this is what happens. Guys categorize girls as shakers or keepers. Shakers mean like with fishing. Mm-hmm. A tosser or a keeper. Yeah. And a lot of times there's a lot of judgment too. So there's a lot of judgment around a woman and sex, which there shouldn't be, but there is. And so for a woman, if she wants to create a really wonderful relationship, she has to pay attention. Remember the other thing too, sexual energy is the most potent energy accessible to us. So let's say you want to be in a relationship, you can use like this whole room is sexual energy. He loves you so much, he wanted to show up and create this whole wake up naked world for you. Aww. So the two of you together, coming together, when two people who love each other come together, that sexual energy, they use it for sexual energy is creativity. It sits right here in the home of your second chakra, which is the home of your sexuality, sensuality, creativity.
Love it.
And for us women, femininity. So you can learn I harness my sexual energy on the dance floor. Anybody who's ever seen me salsa dancing or bachata dancing, I'm ferocious. I'm sexual.
I feel like you harness it when you walk. Not even on the dance floor, as you stay here. I think that you do a really good job of that.
That's a beautiful thing to say. Thank you.
Honest.
So we want to learn how to harness our sexual energy. And remember what I talked about the girl when she has random sex with guys who can't see her and then run. They use her and leave. Her self-confidence is down in the toilet. She's down here. How is she going to create her life from that place? It's a destructive energy. It's not a constructive energy. It's not a life-enhancing energy. But if you flip it, you can use, if she could find a partner who's amazing, if she took the time, finds a partner who can see her body, mind, heart, soul, and spirit, sees her physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, energetically, spiritually, all ways. And then they come together, they harness both of them harness that energy. Yeah. And now you've seen power couples. That's what that is. You harness that sexual energy and conquer the world with that. Yeah. Sexual energy is really powerful to harness. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I want to emphasize, and I feel like you'll agree with me, but emphasizing that from this perspective, it has nothing to do with morals. It has nothing to do with the morality of whether sex is good or bad.
Yes.
It has to do with protecting your
energy field.
Especially if you are looking for a relationship.
Yes. And here's the other thing, because a lot of people think they can have sex for sport. And for most women, it doesn't go well for you. Yeah. That's where it doesn't. There's that one, I had a girlfriend. She had sex like a man. One at lunch, one at dinner, and then one she could just, but
I have someone like that too.
But she genuinely was like that. So she wasn't pretending. Most women pretend they can do it, but they can't and they get devastated.
And I think that's a unicorn. And going back to your point, like it's a total unicorn. It's possible, but not likely. And you're being very nice about it. I don't know, what's the word you just used? I don't know. I just feel like women lie. We lie. We say
to ourselves.
Yeah,
we lie to ourselves.
Like, oh, I don't really like him. I'm just having sex with him. But then you're worried about whether he's texting you, calling you.
You go to his Instagram. Who's that bitch? Who's that?
And it's like, and then at the same time, like I was talking to a friend who was sleeping with like a total loser.
Right.
She knew he was a loser, and actually
oxytocin.
Yeah, and I mean, full disclosure, that's happened to me before too.
Happened to me.
Yeah, where I was like, he's not really like someone that I'd call my boyfriend.
Right.
But we're exclusive and it's fine and we're fine. I was like, it's not fine. Like it's not fine. Even if we were exclusive.
Yeah.
The fact that he still had mind territory of me. Even though I knew
territory. Energetic territory.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's there was one other point I was going to say about this. You started when you were talking.
Well, about women lying to themselves.
Yes. And really women have to be, everybody, men, women have to be honest about what they want. You have to be honest. You have to take your time, that's why I started the beginning of our talk about, it's not a moral. This is not a moral. Right. Everybody has their own morals about it, and you have to follow that. But you have to also, then you have to look and see, is this programming my parents put in me, religious programming that was placed in me, or is this my actual own choice?
Right.
It's a big difference.
Yeah.
Like I was raised very, very Catholic. So, oh my God, like it just,
It took me years.
Yeah.
I feel like the Catholic Church didn't repress me in any way except for sexually, where it stuck with me, and I was like,
it's a lot of shaming.
Wait till I'm married.
A lot of shaming. So then, men and women, they have to decide, okay, what do I want? What works best for me? And so then, if you want a real relationship and you want to be active sexually before marriage, then what you want to do is you just want to do it really consciously. You want to be as awake and alive as possible. You want to be as aware as possible. And then you want to date consciously. You want to take your time, not because Steve Harvey said it's 3 months. You could wait 3 months and the guy could be an asshole, and on 3 months and a day sleep with him, and the guy's like, got her, boom, and he's out of there, or vice versa. Like it's not about time, it's about energy.
Got it. I was literally going to ask you because I feel people want to know, then when should I have sex with him? When should I have sex with her?
It's when you can literally, and the more aware and conscious you are, the easier it becomes. That's why I teach people intuition. I teach intuitions to teach you how to get your answers. So once you have access to your intuition, you look and you go, okay, now is the time. I know. I would say number one, to answer that question, do you feel safe in your body? Is it going, or is it, he makes me feel safe? Does he show up when he says he's going to show up? Does he tell the truth? Has he introduced me to his friends? And vice versa. This is vice versa. Right. Has she? Has he or she, do they call you up in the morning just to say, good morning, I'm thinking about you? And that, you can feel when energy is authentic or when it's bullshit. Yeah. You can feel it. Yeah. So if you're feeling it and if you're having, like, this man loves you. Look at what he created for you. The TV monitor right there. It's his. Baby, let me put it here for you. Yeah. Wire all this up. Do all of that. Yeah. So you have
and just quick FYI, what she's talking about was my boyfriend helped me set up the studio.
Yes.
So that's the sexual energy she was talking about.
Exactly.
The proof in the pudding.
The proof in the pudding. Well, like this man shows up. And so how are they showing up for you? If you if you come home and I was dating this guy and I got robbed at the Mac store, which is a crazy story, which I'll tell you another time. But I recovered all my things in the craziest, most serendipitous way. But I picked up the phone. I was so shaking. I mean, it was literally, the cops came. It was crazy. They took the guy to jail. It was insane. Yeah. And I got all my belongings back. But I was so shaken. I'd been dating this guy, just, starting to date. And called up. And I was so shaken. I tried to tell him the experience. Couldn't hear me. Had no compassion, baby, I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, do you want me to come over? Are you okay? Nothing. There was no, he couldn't see. You want somebody, and this is in life in general, you want someone who can hear you, who can see you, and who understands you. This is I can see you, I can hear you, and I understand you, and vice versa. And so you have, but that takes time. You're not going to get that. But then I hear people saying, but I heard that couple, they slept together on the first time and then they were together forever. That is 1 in a million, but yes, it does. But it wasn't because they slept together on the first time. They happened to sleep together the first time and got lucky. Because they actually have compatibility. They have the other 3 things: compatibility, connection, and communication. But if you want to play Russian roulette with your sex life, okay, but I don't. Because I'm so protective of this energy and this energy. I'm ferociously protective of this. Yeah. I don't want, I spend my entire days in my, in higher consciousness and awareness and meditation. I'm not letting just anything in here.
That reminds me of what Jordan Peterson said. I love that guy. He said, casual sex. He's like, there's nothing casual about sex. And and I've always thought that, and it had nothing to do with morals. It was just like, someone is entering me. Like, it doesn't feel casual.
And can I tell you, I'm so glad you said that, because I knew there was one other thing I wanted to say. I'm trained in Tantra. So what we really want, ultimately, is body, mind, heart, soul, and spirit connection. Once you've made love to somebody, body, mind, heart, soul, and spirit, it's like a rocket ship out into outer space. It literally, you can blow your awareness wide open. When you make love, have sex, body, mind, heart, soul, and spirit. It's like driving a Ferrari. You can't go to a Pinto afterwards, which is just body. It's like, I don't want, and that's why I'm so particular too, because I've had body, mind, heart, soul, and spirit. You can't give me a Pinto after I've taken a ride in a Ferrari or a beautiful Mercedes. I'm sorry, I'm not a Pinto girl. So I want everybody here to really hear that you're going to utilize sex. I remember I was saying earlier, sex is such a powerful energy. You want to utilize it to blow you open in the most extraordinary way. When you can have sex, body, mind, heart, soul, and spirit, completely connected, that's when you get full body orgasms. Let's just talk for a second about full body orgasms. You think a regular orgasm is good. Yeah. A full body orgasm connected in with someone who you're connected body, mind, heart, soul, and spirit with will blow you out into the universe.
Yeah.
That's high consciousness. And when you have that kind of making love, that Tantra kind of making love, that's what takes your own being to the next level.
So for those out there asking, what is the difference? Have I had a full body or is it something like you would know if you would have it?
You can be trained to have a full body orgasm. Full body orgasm, literally what that means is that you're just, instead of there's these 7 chakras of the body. The 7 there's the other chakras, but the major chakras, and then 8, 9 up above. So when you connect in first chakra, second chakra, third chakra, fourth chakra is heart. Now, so once you've connected, fat body is here, right? If we're having sex, body is here. Well, it's all over, but the connection, the sexual connection is here. And the second chakra. Then you move up into here. Are you surrendering? Are you playing a game? This is your will center. So are you surrendering in an honest, intimate connection? Or are you fighting it? Are you power playing? If you surrender, now this is wide open. Now you come from the heart. Are you surrendering your heart? Are you literally making love with your heart, connected completely, heart to heart? That's when people you start crying when you make love, because it's like, it's so, the most love you can feel is when that's the deepest physical, it's the deepest intimate connection we can have.
And I
can you hold it for a second? Mm-hmm. Then in here, how are you speaking and connecting? And then in here, how are you connecting on the 6th chakra? Yeah. And then, so full body orgasm is you're connected all
your chakras.
Everything's connected and on up. And then it's like a spiral. You both spiral. Yeah. That's a full, and then, so full body orgasm, but also when Tantra, when you're deeply connected to the other person, you'll know because it's deep. We know deep when we see it.
Yeah,
so
past just physical.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that reminded me of a podcast that I saw where they talked about having sex, but purposely not wanting to orgasm.
Oh, yeah.
Just to have the experience of that connection.
Yes. So there's a lot of people talk about that in different ways. Mm-hmm. There's a holding of the energy. So that's one thing, especially men can do this. They circle, it's a little red book. It's called the Little Red Book. you circle the energy back in and you don't, sometimes they don't even come, period. But that's a whole different conversation. Yeah. But you still have the orgasm. But now I think what you're talking about is you hold the energy. What that means is that you're holding and building the energy in yourself. You're literally bringing the energy in, but you have to have 2 very conscious people when you do that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You don't want to, you want to be conscious with who you're with, but you certainly don't want to take any energy of somebody who you don't know and you don't really, why would you want that energy? You don't. But if it's 2 beautiful souls connecting, now that's where this... Does that make sense?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Now, I think you've touched upon it throughout this whole episode, but just in a nutshell, as it pertains to sex, energy, and connection, what are your thoughts on one-night stands?
Well, it's interesting because even the term one-night stand means I'm going to have sex with you one time and never see you again. Mm-hmm. And if sex is all about connecting, right? Mm-hmm. This is...
What do you say to someone that says, I don't think sex is about connecting. Sex is sex and pleasure.
Well, this is what I was going to tell you also. There was when you were talking about the energy. Yes, to some people it is, but they're very unconscious. Anybody who's conscious would not think that way. That person is leading a very unconscious life all around. If they're like, this is just, I'm just doing it for my own pleasure, that's not valuing the other soul that you're connecting with. It's like, if you ever listen to a pilot, he talks about the souls on the plane. Mm. They do that very consciously because he's on an airplane flying several hundred people. If he just thought, this is people, okay, fly, hopefully it doesn't crash. They literally say there are 191 souls on board because he knows the preciousness of each. If you just see a person, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Oh, that person, I don't know. most people don't have the capacity to honor the God or the universe or the beauty in every other person. So it's a using kind of energy.
Now, just to play the devil's advocate, what if someone says, well, yeah, I want pleasure for me, but I want pleasure for them too. Sex is just about pleasure, not just for me, but for both of us.
It is. And remember, it's also about energy. So it's not just you're still taking that energy, and so you have to be sexually responsible with the energy and sexually responsible with making sure you don't get diseases.
I was going to say, because that is very real.
It's really, really, and can I tell you, in the moment when you're getting fanny flutters, you're not thinking about that until afterwards, and someone's like, oh my God, I got a sexually transmitted, no, I didn't. I do not have a sexually, but someone says they got a sexually transmitted disease because in the moment, they were not responsible. They literally just, I just pleasure in the moment. You have to be responsible.
And that kind of goes into like instant gratification, not just about sex, but just in general. Like
everything.
In general, we can understand how instant gratification isn't always going to be the path to creating the life you really want.
Right, because it's a balance. If you just save everything for the future, you're going to wake up, let's say my age, I'm 62 years young, wake up and be like, oh my God, I saved everything. I didn't have fun all this time. But if you're here and then you just blow the wad and you aren't responsible, you're going to not have anything to take care of yourself with. So it's a balance between being responsible and also having fun. It's like we live in a duality world. We live in a realm that's dualistic. So we have to, there's a right side, there's a left side, there's a front, so there has to be a back. When I work with my clients, I take them out of this space and I take them out of this dimension into the higher dimensions. Different story, but in this third realm dimension, it's the polarity. And so therefore you have to balance out, okay, this side, I want to make sure I have a lot of fun and enjoy. Otherwise, we would just be angels floating around. If we want to take a body, we want to enjoy the body. You see this with spiritual, like some spiritual teachers. Alma's a great example, the hugging saint. Her body's almost gone. She sits there for hours and hours and hours, and she hugs everybody. She's called the hugging saint, but she's not paid any attention to her own physical body. I know people who know her well, so I know this well, that she's not honored. So she's so far on this side, she hasn't honored this side. So you want to have the balance of, if we took a physical incarnation, we want to honor the physical body, we want to enjoy it, we want to have fun with it, but we also want to have the responsibility part. If you just spent all your money, now what are you going to do when you have to?
Or if you saved it all.
Or if you saved it all, then you didn't. Exactly. So to answer your question, it's the balance. Make sense?
Okay. So let's. I feel our episode coming to an end.
Oh no! Seriously, we're gonna get to the other things.
We can talk about it.
Okay.
We'll bring you back.
Okay. Fabulous. Okay.
I want to touch really quickly about. So we talked a lot about people. Sex and people wanting to be in relationships.
Right.
What about someone that doesn't want to be in a relationship?
Okay.
How do they deal with their desire of sex?
Okay. Very good question. That's a really, really good question. So we have to first look at why don't they want to be in a relationship? Because most human beings are wired for a relationship. So if they don't want to be in a relationship, most likely they were really injured and wounded and hurt. Think of the last time you were really, really, really hurt, or me too. It's the last thing you want. You're like, I am. Either they do that, or they, the phrase.
Go opposite. Yeah.
The best way to get over someone is to get under somebody else.
Yeah.
So but neither one of those options are conscious, right?
Right.
Neither one of those are conscious. So human beings are built to relate to other people. So even if you're not going to get in a long-term monogamous relationship, we're built to relate to other people. So if someone says, I don't want to be in a relationship, there's a wound there. I guarantee you. Anybody says to me, I don't want to be in a relationship,
I personally agree with you, but I think there's people out there that will fight that. They're like, why can't I just be an independent person that doesn't need anybody?
Right. Well, but it's like if you just look at...
I'm focusing on my career.
Right.
I don't...
And again, there's wounding behind that. But everything has a time and a season. So if someone's focusing on their career, so watch this. Someone says, I don't want a man. This is genius. I heard someone say this one time. I don't want a man. I'm focusing on my career. I don't want a man, fill in the blank, woman, whichever you want, because I'm focusing on my career and I don't want them to take away from me. So guess what? You pick the right man or woman, partner, they're only going to enhance and give to you.
Nailed it. Yes.
So the person who says, I don't want that, they've had a shitload of experience with pain, with rejection, and with not good relationships. And so what's happened is they're like, they need to heal from that.
And not choosing the right partner.
Well,
because that's what it comes down to.
And, there's a whole episode we can do about choosing the right partner, because what happens is you will choose the wounding until you get conscious. So in other words, like, let's say a girl is raised by a father who is emotionally absent or physically absent, emotionally unavailable, and mean, harsh, unkind. She's going to say to herself, this young girl, if she wants a relationship, she's going to say, I might not know what I want, but I damn sure know I don't want my dad. So guess what she's going to go out and get? Her dad. She's going to pick, he might physically look completely different, but she's going to go, holy shit, I'm dating my dad. How could that be? I don't want to. Because she hasn't healed. So we're energy, right? So until we heal the wounds in our subconscious, which is what I do for a living, I heal the wounds. I'm able to go into the subconscious, heal the wounds. So until we heal those wounds in the subconscious, what happens is that programming in the subconscious will kick in. You'll see someone and you'll think it's chemistry. It won't actually be chemistry, but you'll think it's chemistry. You'll think that's my soulmate. You'll think all these different things, but it's not. It's the wounding. And you're going to go after that and get that and realize, because what's happening is that the quest is to try to get the love of the father or mother, whichever case. Yeah. And so that vicious cycle goes around and around until they clear and heal it and can actually go get what they really want.
Yeah. And you're right. That could be a totally different podcast on its own. So that's the first thing, that a person that doesn't want a relationship and how to relate to sex. Right. The first thing is to ask, well, why don't I want one? And to maybe examine certain wounds that you might have. And if you're conscious enough to be honest with yourself.
Exactly.
Is there another point you have about that or that you would like to say about it?
Well, just the first part is becoming more aware. And it might be, well, Dr. Elizabeth, how do I become more aware? So the first step is to choose that. When we choose, something miraculous happens. The universe opens up to conspire on our behalf when we choose. Like this right here. You had the vision, right? You had the vision. Did the universe not conspire along the way? This has been several years in the making.
Yeah.
Now, you might have actually seen that someday you'd be here in this whole beautiful setup, but you just took one step in front of the other. You chose it. And then you kept choosing it. Even if it was difficult, you chose it. And then you kept on opting in and opting in. No, you had tons of hurdles. We could do a whole episode on how many hurdles you have had to get to here. And then when you get to your next big place, you'll be like, oh, wow, I can't believe I got there. So they have to choose. And in choosing, this is what happens. Everything opens up. Then what happens is the right teacher, the right book, the right podcast, the right information. When we open up, it's that beautiful Joseph Campbell quote, which I don't even know if you know that was Joseph Campbell. When you follow your bliss, doors will open for you where there are only walls, or where you thought where it wouldn't have existed for anybody else. That's his quote. No one ever quotes him on it, but that's Joseph Campbell, the guy I talked about in the very beginning.
I was going to say, I'm going to have to get his book as well. So I love that. Yeah. I mean, I'm so glad that we've been talking about sex, and sex, I think, in a more conscious way. Oh, I have two more questions for you.
And real quickly, I just want to really, really quickly say, sex is a tool for healing when used properly. That's like the biggest thing I want to say.
Oh, that's like a whole nother thing. Okay.
Sex is a tool.
Us more.
Okay. Sex is a tool for healing when we let it be. Think about how loved you feel right now. Right? By your beloved. Hello, beloved. I know who you are. And we love you. We love how beautiful you are to Esmey. It's so healing, isn't it? Look, your eyes are glossing over. It's so healing. But you took the time, too, to find...
And I will say, it's funny, because he was at a point when we first met... I mean, let's talk about sex, but when we first met, I had already, something happened to me that was such a big impetus for me to like just fucking wake up when it comes to this kind of shit. And I knew
you were done. You were done.
It was like my old 20-year-old self like finally became like a woman, and like this strong sense of self as it relates to men came into it. So that's where I was when I first met my boyfriend. And I knew he wasn't going to come into my home, and I wasn't going to go to his home for some time. And it wasn't a game, but it was like, I understand now that I want a relationship. I want an intimate relationship, something I've never felt before.
Mutually
so that's gonna
beneficial.
Take time to see, hey, I need to see where this guy is. Because everybody talks, everybody can talk, everyone, like you said, they can court you. But it's time with action over time.
Yes.
That's the same thing.
Well, and you felt safe, right? The safety, all that. Remember you were asking, when's it time? You knew when it was time, didn't you?
Yeah, and what was hilarious about it was like for all of our first dates, like first month and a half, like he didn't even, like he would walk me to my door and he would leave. He would say, thank you for the lovely night, kiss me on the cheek, and then walk away. And I remember,
like, does this guy even like me?
No. Well, I was so in my power that I was like, I'm glad, because I would have said no if he tried to come in. And he was at a place where he was like, no, he's like, I literally just wanted to get to know you. I didn't want to like take it there.
Yes.
So he's like, so I wasn't, and I was like, well, I'm glad you didn't ask because you weren't going to come in.
That's two highly conscious people who have made a commitment. You both knew what you wanted. That was not an accident.
Yeah.
That was two highly conscious people who had decided enough is enough. I'm going to create something beautiful. Yeah. And then you did. That's how you do it.
And when I felt safe, and when he had shown you, when he had done what he said he was going to do, and even through like some quote unquote fuck ups, like things that he, something that had happened. This was one of our dates. He was like, one of our first dates, he was like an hour late, and I left. And I was like, hey, listen, but here's the difference. The old unconscious me would have been like, how dare you? You're such a piece. Don't call me. Right. But the new conscious me was like, hey, listen, I'm not sure what happened with the time situation. Yes. I'm going to go home because this is the time that we agreed on, but I would love to try again next week. And the way that he responded to that and how he showed up told me everything.
Everything.
And it was just like a man owning his shit.
Yeah.
He wasn't like, oh, but this happened and this happened. It's not my fault. He was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. I showed, and he like, and then not only did he say that, but then with weeks and with times and with more dates, he showed me the truth.
Yes. And now the intimacy that you have, because relationships, it's all about intimacy. And that intimacy is what heals us. Yeah. Because
I love that.
Yeah. They can truly see you, and we're all longing to be seen, heard, and understood. Every one of us. That's what we want. Yeah. And when that happens, that's when the healing happens. And the healing inside of that relationship is what helps create beauty on all aspects. Every other aspect of your life has been flourishing since, right? When you're in a healing relationship, every other aspect flourishes.
Yeah. Because
it's nurturing and healing.
Yeah. I love that. All right, 2 more questions for you. One is, for someone that's not so into like this energetic spiritual talk, which I'm with you all on board, but for someone that's not,
right.
When it comes to sex and when and if you should have sex, how can you say it very briefly in a different way for someone that doesn't necessarily believe, they're like, oh yeah, energy exchange, that's bullshit. Is there a different way to explain it?
Yes. So, but what's your question? As far as when to have sex?
Yeah, just as far as like when it comes to sex, and let's stick with, because I think a lot of people do yearn for relationships. So as it pertains to you wanting a relationship, and it goes vice versa, but let's just go back to our previous example. A woman wanting a relationship with a man, and maybe you don't necessarily believe in like it's an energetic exchange. What's a different way to like when to have sex with this guy?
Get to know him. Just make sure you don't have, here's the thing, whether we like it or not, we're all intuitive. It could be a gut, it could be, so you might not even know it, but when you take the time to get to know him, Watch how his actions match his words. Watch what happens when you hit the bumps. Watch what happens all along the way. Is he really here for you? Is he listening to you? Can he see you? Does he only show up for sex? This is probably the biggest one. Does he only show up for sex, or does he show up for everything else? That's the key.
Well, let's go with you haven't had sex with him.
Okay.
Right? So but it would still, everything else you said would apply.
Okay. So is he only showing up? Okay. Is he 2:00 in the morning? What you doing? Seriously?
Yeah.
I'm fucking sleeping.
Yeah.
Ding dong.
Yeah.
And you should be too. No. Or even 10:00 at night. Hey, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's like the only time he texted you all day.
Yeah. Or he texts and you go out and you don't hear from him unless he's gone out of the country. And even then, you can still, we live in a technically global connected world. He can text from anywhere in the world. So let's say you go out and then he goes ghost for 2 months and then comes back. Hey,
what's up?
What's up? Yeah. And
big
even
indicators.
If they don't use that BS language that I hate so much, even they don't do that, even if they're just like, hey, how are you? Because here's the thing. We will circle and make the same mistakes over and over and over again until we wake up and become conscious. So a woman will go, oh, there he is. So she's the cat. Oh, he's so cute. Oh, he missed me. No, he didn't, boo-boo. You haven't seen him in 2 months. He didn't miss you. He's gone through the itinerary and he's back up to A. There you, Abigail. There you are. He ran through to Z, Zeta, and now he's back up to A. That's all. He didn't miss you.
Yeah.
Missing you means texting and saying, oh my God, I want to take you on this. It's going to be nice things. They're going to do the little nice things. If they like you, they're going to do the little nice things.
Yeah.
They're not interested. They're not going to do it. Yeah. They're going to go to your crazy aunt's birthday party with you. Mm-hmm. Not just
there's just so much to say about this because I feel like
women need to hear this.
Yeah. And another one I wanted to add is like if a guy is wanting to get to know you and constantly inviting you to his place. I feel like that's a big one. Where it's like it gets like women, especially if we're younger, we don't know any better. Right. I know I didn't know any better.
I didn't know any better.
But it's like, oh my God, he's making me dinner and he's bringing me to his house. Yeah. Like, so that's okay because he's making me dinner. No, if that's your first date, no, do not go.
That's not the first date. That's not the first date. No. He picks you up and he takes you out. Or if you want, you can meet someplace. Yeah. But he's genuinely interested in you. And it's not even about the money. Let's say there's some really, really, kids in their early 20s and they're not making a lot of money right now. Mm-hmm. It's not about that. He could make a picnic and take you. It's different. The house, when you go to someone's home, sex is on the menu. If you're having a picnic, sex isn't.
Like could be, but less likely.
On the menu.
Yeah, and again, emphasizing that sex is not wrong, but if you want a relationship, don't put sex on the menu the first few weeks
because you need to get to know him. Yeah, you just have to get to know him first.
I love that. Okay. Last question, and I mean we could have said even more, but to honor your time, last question: what is the most proud thing? What are you most proud of as it relates to you and your connection to sex and your sexuality?
Oh, that's a great question. I have to think about this for a second. Being able to have sex, body, mind, heart, soul, and spirit. Well, actually, it's funny because I came into this lifetime completely conscious and a lot of people, they're scared of that power, so they kind of push it away. But I didn't. So even when I was a young kid, or even when I was, in my early 20s, I always made love highly consciously. Always. It just was, I was like, I didn't know there was any other way. Like, it's just like, if you could drive the Ferrari, why would you have the Pinto? It didn't make any sense to me. So I guess that's the thing I'm most proud of is this ability I've had and now can teach to connect to other human beings out of the bed or out of, not sexually, but also especially to go to your question, sexually, because it's, molto delicioso. It's muy delicioso. I'm telling you, it is. It's so, because there's nothing like it in the world to connect with another human being on that level, the level of intimacy and beauty. And what you can do with that is otherworldly, literally. There's so much. If people knew the power, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, way back, he wrote that book, I want to say in the 30s or 40s, had a whole chapter 11. Most people don't realize that. It's about sex transmutation, which is all about taking sexual energy and transmuting it.
He was ahead of his time.
He was way ahead of his time. Part of when I go salsa dancing, it's what I do, especially if I'm not dating somebody. I will literally use salsa dancing as making love on the dance floor. I harness all that sexual energy and I allow that to fuel my whole being. Yeah. You can harness sexual energy. You don't have to have sex to harness sexual energy. Harness sexual energy all the time.
And that will be part 2. How to harness your sexual energy.
How to harness your sexual energy.
Well, this has been honestly so amazing. Such a great way to launch season 2 of Wake Up Naked. Dr. Elizabeth, first guest on the podcast for season 2. Thank you so much for being here.
It's my pleasure.
If anybody wants to connect, team, she's an amazing, amazing healer, teacher. If you're dealing with anything, feel any blockages in you, anything that's going on, I mean, I think you're better than a therapist.
Yeah, thank you.
Please, how can people reach you?
Okay, let's see. You can DM me on Instagram. You'll put the thing on there?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Elizabeth Live. You can email me at speaker@drelizabeth. I can write that down for you. Put that on there. Or just visit my website, drelizabeth.com. That's the easiest ways to get a hold of me. Yeah.
Beautiful. And if you guys have me too, Esmey Leon, and I will be happy to connect you guys. But yes, thank you. And I can't wait to keep talking with you about more wonderful things. And
you know what? I need to do a course on this. I'm gonna do a course on this. So if you guys are interested, let me know. I teach the overall course I'm doing. I'm launching. I do want to say about this. I'm launching a course called Hello, Your Life is Calling. So it's Hello, Your Life is Calling. Like it's calling you to answer the call. And so we talk about the 4 pillars of life: health, manifesting in health, wealth, love, and a career, perfect self-expression, and fulfillment, and how to do that in life. And so, so
love that.
Yeah.
All right, guys,
really
you heard it here.
All right.
Thank you. Love you all. Until next time.
Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you got as much out of that as I did. If you have not hit the subscribe button, make sure to go back and hit subscribe and keep coming back. Team, we're going to the top and I will see you there. I'm out.